Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Siti Holila with ID number T2019 60 and 19. I'm from TBI1 from English Department, State Islamic University Kiai Ahmed Siddiq Jember. And in this video, I want to explain about equivalence and equivalent effect. Okay, I want to talk about 4 approaches towards on the notion of equivalence and effect of equivalent. First approach from Roman Jacobson, Nature of the Linguistic Meaning and Equivalence. Roman Jacobson, in his paper on linguistic aspect of translation, described 3 types of translation. There is intralingual, interlingual, and intersemiotic. So, what is that? What is intralingual, interlingual, and intersemiotic? Okay, first, intralingual. Rewording or paraphrasing, summarizing, expanding, or commenting within a language. Second is interlingual, between two languages. That is the traditional concept of translation from source text to target text, or the shifting of meaning from one language to another. The third is intersemiotic, between sign system, the changing of a written text into a different form, such as art or dance. Okay, these structuralists focus on interlingual in order to explain linguistic meaning and equivalence. Jacobson supports the relation laid out by Saussure between the signifier and signified, which forms the linguistic sign. This sign, according to Saussure, is arbitrary or unmotivated. The concluded is that Jacobson's theory is essentially based on his semiotic approach to translation, according to which the translator has to record the source text message first, and then he has to transmit it into an equivalent message for the target text. For Jacobson, differences between language center on grammatical and lexical forms. These differences are shown for example at the level of gender, the level of aspect, or the level of semantic fields. The second approach from NIDA and the science of translating. First material is the nature of meaning, advance in semantics and pragmatics. In the analysis of individual words, NIDA differentiates various scientific approaches to meaning, always from a functional definition of meaning in which a word acquires a meaning through its context and culture. There are three types of meaning. First is linguistic meaning, relationship between different linguistic structures. The second is referential meaning, the denotative dictionary meaning. The third is emotive or connotative meaning, the associations a word produce. Second material, that is formal and dynamic equivalence and the principle of equivalent effect. The old terms of literal, free, and faithful are discarded by NIDA in favor of 2 types of equivalence. First type is formal equivalence, focus attention on message itself in both form and content. Message in target language match as closely as possible in the source language. The second is dynamic equivalent, is based on the principle of equivalent effect, where the relationship between receptor and message should be substantially the same as that which existed between the original receptor and the message. Okay, the equivalent effect is based on the 4 basic requirements of a translation. First is making sense, the second conveying the spirit and manner of the original, Third is having a natural and easy form of expression. The third is the fourth is producing a similar response. Okay, the third approach from Newmark, that is semantic and communicative translation. Newmark distinguishes between communicative and semantic translation in an attempt to bring together the two translation perspectives, focusing on source text and target text respectively. So communicative translation is aims to achieve an effect on the target text receptor that is as close as possible to the effect achieved by the source text on the original receptor, while semantic translation aims to render as closely as possible the contextual meaning of the source text within the semantic and syntactic structures of the target language. Semantic translation is therefore comparable to NIDA's formal equivalence, while communicative translation is similar to NIDA's functional or dynamic equivalence. However, Newmark rejects the idea of full equivalent effect as unobtainable where the context of source text and target text differs. Newmark gives literal translation priority in both communicative and semantic translation, only where semantic translation risks equivalent effect or leads to an idiomatic structures should communicative translation be applied. Okay, the last approach, that is from Kohler, equivalence relations. Kohler examines the concept of equivalence more closely along with its linked term correspondent. We can describe the two as first is correspondent within the field of constructive linguistics, which compares two language systems and describes differences and similarities contrastively, while equivalent item in specific source text to target text, pairs, and context. In order to answer what is equivalent to what, Kohler distinguishes 5 types of equivalence. First, there is denotative equivalence related to the extra-linguistic content of a text. Second is connotative equivalence related to the lexical choice, especially between near synonyms. Stylistic equivalence. The third is text normative equivalence related to text type. The fourth is pragmatic or communicative equivalence oriented towards the receiver of the text or message. Fifth is formal equivalence related to the form and aesthetic of the text. Includes words, word plays, and the individual stylistic features of the short text. Expressive equivalence. Okay, that's all from me. I apologize and if in my explanation any mistake in my pronunciation or in my material. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.